the rest of the story. I want you to meet the littlest businessman. Back in the 4th grade, he was anything but a young scholar. Regular studies bored him. But there was one thing in which he excelled, one art in which he had become so proficient that it turned into something of a neighborhood legend, making and throwing spitballs. Began as a hobby, became a youthful obsession. Spitballs were made of chewed-up paper, you know. But as any 4th grade spitball manufacturer will tell you, there's more to the process than meets the eye. There's size, density, weight to consider. Then there's the manner in which the projectile is fired. The standard overhand throw will do, but this one particular youngster, thoroughly adept and advanced in the pastime, preferred the ordinary rubber band. He only missed his target once. Through no miscalculation of his own, it was simply that his target, a little girl sitting in front of him, ducked. And because she ducked, that little boy would never be the same again. You see, when the girl ducked, it was too late to recall the spitball. The spitball hit the teacher right smack behind the ear. The teacher's name was Miss Young, and as she winced, the class laughed irrepressibly and then equally suddenly fell silent. Who had thrown the spitball? Miss Young asked in a sharp tone. The young fellow who had sank down in his chair. At last, Miss Young's searching gaze fixed on the lad, his guilty expression, his attempted inobtrusive posture, had given away the 4-year-old. All right, enough was enough. The young man would go to the back of the classroom. He'd sit beside the little book stand back there, facing away from the class, and he would take one of the books out of the rack, and he would prepare a report on what he read, and he would read that report aloud to the class. Well, the book report was punishment indeed. The book was about baseball. It was about 5 baseball players. The 4th grader had a singular disinterest in baseball. But it was the numbers, some numbers he found in the book, that were interesting. And the more he read, the more fascinated he became. Well, not in the sport of baseball. A bunch of grown men chasing a little ball around seemed so silly. Almost as silly as having to go to school. No, it wasn't the sport that intrigued him so. It was the money. What is this number here? He asked Miss Young, pointing to a line in the book. The number was $100,000? An annual salary of $100,000? The boy couldn't even count that high. And $8 a day for meal money? Just think what those players must be making a week. And the boy concluded his economically slanted book report to the class by telling the class that if you could earn that much money playing baseball, then that was just what he was going to do with his life. And he did. He did. While athletes traditionally first fall in love with their sport, then are forced to become good businessmen, this 4-year-old did it the other way around. For the littlest businessman, the 4th grader first inspired by 6 figures, who later came to love the means to that end, graduated from spitball to baseball with more stolen bases than any other player in the history of the game. That would have to be Lou Brock. It was Lou Brock. And now you know the rest of the story.